Let's talk about the Florida Gators and the Tennessee Volunteers, 23-17, another game that goes to overtime. This was an ugly football game. This was the second time that we have seen Tennessee go to 3-0 deficit at halftime. The second time this season that we've seen it happen. The difference was they were on, well, the difference is the offense still, the same thing is that the offense never woke up. But the defense continues to play at a really high level. I have some questions now about this Tennessee offense. There are some serious issues. And the fact that it's the second time that it's a 3-0 deficit at halftime against an inferior opponent is unacceptable. It's just not good enough. And I understand Florida get up for this Tennessee game. Florida generally plays one of their best games of the season whenever Tennessee that comes around. But Nico Almaleva, you've got to be better. He had an interception in this one. He's held up without a touchdown again in this one. You don't run the ball at the level that you should be running it against a pretty bad Florida rush defense. It's the worst rush defense, I believe, in the SEC, if it's not one of the very worst in America. Dylan Sampson, he goes over 100 yards and scores 3 touchdowns. He's the only reason you won this game. It's Dylan Sampson. There's nothing. I mean, your defense played at a pretty solid level. DJ Lagway and Graham Mertz going back and forth. But this is just, you got to be better than this. And Tennessee, you've got a huge game coming up next week against another team that's kind of scuffling right now. And I think both of those teams that we're going to see next week, and we'll talk about that on Thursday. So make sure you like and follow this podcast so you can follow along and hear that dialogue. But those are two programs that are trending in the wrong direction in one of the biggest games of the season. I'm gonna dig into that game a lot more as this week goes on, but I got a lot of questions. I got a lot of questions about the Tennessee Volunteers.
Well, let me just be very clear. Tennessee didn't win this game. Florida lost this game. And you say it was 3-0 at halftime. It should have been at least 17, if not 20-0. Florida gets into the red zone 4 times and they come away with 3 points. It's just completely unacceptable. One of them is a Graham Mertz fumble at the 1. They turned the ball over on downs. They mismanaged the clock at the end of the half, and a field goal with a penalty was taken off the board. I mean, what an absolute blank show from Billy Napier. Graham Mertz goes down in this game. Still waiting to hear word on him, but looks like it's the DJ Lagway show just moving forward. I'd be very surprised if that injury to Mertz doesn't keep him out at least a couple of games, if not, quite frankly, season ending. So we'll wait to hear on that. You just want me to get to the end of this game? Like, do you just want me to go there? Like, are we allowed to curse on this podcast? Can I?
Yeah, you are.
The fuck are you doing not going for 2? If you're Billy Napier, what the fuck are you doing not going for 2 points and the win? You are 2 yards away with one of the top 3 freshman quarterback recruits in the country at the helm of your offense. 2 yards away from a monumental win on the road. Your ass is getting fired at the end of this season if something doesn't spark your team to showing a little bit of fight, and you kick a goddamn PAT. Are you out of your mind, man? Like, what is your end goal here? I'm just asking. Like you had an opportunity, because trust me, all the blank ups in the first half are going to come to spotlight. Mm-hmm. You could have buried them by winning this game, or at least going for the win. But you don't do that. You kick a PAT and go to overtime. What are we doing here? I'm sorry. Like, I'm always going to take an opportunity, and I don't care if it's Georgia, if it's Florida, if it's Middle Tennessee. Like, I don't really care what level of quality you are. If your opponent's that good and you're 2 yards away, your best play versus their best defensive call for the win. I'll take my chances. Like, I'll take my chances right there. And to go to kick the PAT and go into overtime, like, it's just such a loser mentality. And so, look, between the points that Florida left on the field in the first half and then not going for the win at the end of the game in the second half, like, that's the final straw for me with Billy Napier. This was an opportunity to maybe put a statement out there. It's like, hey, there is a little bit of life in this program. and you choked it out when you kicked the PAT. It's completely unacceptable. I apologize for the bad words.
Don't apologize. No, you should absolutely. I mean, it's passion of college football. You're completely fine. Look, and it's not going to get any easier for Florida here. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road for the schedule. We talked about how Florida had the brutal finish. Now you got Georgia, Texas, LSU, and Ole Miss left on the schedule. Yikes. Uh, it's not going to get much better from here on out. And this was a game. This was an opportunity. It looked like this team was trending in the right direction too. It looks like they've been playing better football. They'd won 2 games in a row. You had the gritty performances and wins against Mississippi State and UCF, and then you have another gritty performance against Tennessee, where largely you were the better team, and you just don't get it done. It's an indictment of your head coach. And look, it was year 3 for Billy Napier at this point. It's not good. It's not been good. And you're right. I mean, this is a guy who's coaching for his job right now, or at least supposedly coaching for his job right now. And you don't even take the chance on that. So look, there are a lot of people who I saw on Twitter shared your sentiment and that mentality. I mean, people uh, dragged Billy Napier for that decision. But any more comments on this one?
Just heroic defensive effort. They played
Yes.
out of their minds throughout the game, picking up the offense as best they could, and just, I guess, fell one stop short.
Yeah, the defense gave them a chance to win.